Hi and welcome. My name is Kyle and it's so great to have you. You and I were both from a very young age told what was right, wrong, good, bad, normal, weird, and so on. This list of seemingly undeniable truths was the foundation, guideline, and framework for us figuring out where we belong in society. And as we grew, we had this desire to question why these were just the accepted facts of our reality. But that desire was beaten out of us in the form of, that's just the way it is, or don't do that, or yeah, do it your way, see what happens. And I think that plays into why a lot of our beliefs feel obvious, but also simultaneously not truly ours. Today, I want to speak about some of the things that have up to now shaped your perception of reality and how to take back ownership. You know, when you leave the nest as, an emerging adult, you feel like you have found this, new sense of freedom. But a lot of times, like after a little bit, it can feel still stagnant and shackling, and you're like, what is going on? And I think the truth is that, you've, yes, a new environment, but you have the same subconscious programming. And so you end up making similar behavioral choices just out of pattern and out of it being what you are used to doing. And to put it in perspective, the conscious brain processes at about 50 bits per second. You don't need to know what a bit is. But the subconscious brain processes at 11 million bits per second. And that's 200,000 times more processing capabilities than your conscious brain. Along with every memory, belief, idea, experience, everything you've ever had, that's stored in the subconscious. And a lot of that can't even be accessed by your conscious brain. Okay, I want to introduce the observer effect, which is basically just that your observation of a system has an impact on its outcome. Because the act of you observing it involves your interaction with the system to some capacity, however small and immeasurable that may seem. I also want to introduce belief systems, which are the filters from which you see reality. It's like your expectations on what is true about reality. So for example, if you believe that people can't be trusted, you are going to perceive a lot of betrayal and cheating in your environment because that is what you are tuned into. If you believe that there is an abundance of opportunities in your reality, you are going to find opportunities when other people don't see them. It's just what you're tuned into. My encouragement to you is to just ask yourself why you believe that certain things are just true. Like those beliefs that you have that maybe they were ingrained in your brain as a child and they feel like yours, but maybe a little bit unfamiliar, like question them sometimes. It's okay. Just be like, I don't know if that's exactly the truth. Or beliefs that you have that don't benefit you, question them. You can change that perspective. For example, why do you believe that you are not smart enough to do that thing? Why do you believe that you are not beautiful enough for that person? Why do you believe that you are hard to love? Why do you pity people that work certain jobs but praise people that work other jobs? And I don't know, why does a certain group of people's suffering impact you very, very deeply, but in other groups doesn't land and impact you in the same way? That's our subconscious programming. That's our conditioning. Do you see the trend? The trend is hatred, it's fear, and it's division. And I personally want to live in a world with less of all of that. I don't think people are naturally or consciously hateful or fearful, but I think our society does a good job of pitting us against each other for a multitude of reasons to keep us from uniting as individuals and as communities. Rich versus poor, young versus old, thick versus thin, tall versus shorts, colored versus whites, man versus woman. Why? Why do you think that is? Well, Corporate media and advertising are billion-dollar companies, and they prey on your fears, your desires, and your insecurities to empty your wallet, to keep you stuck and grasping at straws. To take back control, all you gotta do is curate your input. Is this bettering me? Or is this a coping mechanism? And just be honest from that point. Because if it's a coping mechanism, just say it's what it is. Like, you don't need to bullshit yourself. At some point in the future, if you're lying to yourself, that coping mechanism is gonna fester into something a lot worse and cause you so much more sadness and loneliness and hurt. But if you can just be honest now, that is where the growth starts, like right away, as soon as you're honest. Avoidance and numbing is just going to push that future version of yourself further and further and further away. As soon as you're honest, you are going to start to know what belongs in your life and what does not. Don't panic if you don't know what belongs in your life. That's okay. The honest reflection, just day in and day out, eventually those things will fall away from you naturally. For example, I wasn't sure where weed stood in my life. It was a very confusing time for me. I didn't try to get in my head every day and figure it out. Well, for the first bit, I definitely did. But after that, I just allowed myself to observe myself honestly. I was like, okay, I want to smoke. And I would just ask the questions. I'd be like, okay, why do I want to smoke? Am I avoiding something? Am I being like, or am I just having a good time? If you're doing something out of excitement, that's great. But if you're doing it out of avoidance or numbing, that is where the problem lies. Yeah, just be honest. Like, okay, if you're scrolling through your phone, what am I avoiding right now? Or if you need to go, if you have like this weird, strong desire to go for a shopping trip, are you avoiding or are you numbing? There's nothing wrong with social media. It's a great tool for connection and communication, and you deserve to buy yourself nice things, but you should be doing it out of excitement and joy and not out of avoidance or distraction. In the recent, decades, last couple of years especially, I feel like dopamine hits have been so accessible. And it's made our regular routines of our lives feel very mundane. It makes it feel like we need to supplement it with something that gives, that joy, that excitement, that rush. But your routines are the foundation for your regeneration of mind and body and soul. Making your bed, making yourself food, doing your laundry, taking a shower. Making your bed can feel meaningless, or it can be an act of order and of respect to your space. Reality isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. Your perspective is your lens. Negative lens, negative outlook, and pessimism. The opposite is also true, and you get to choose. Every input, every focus, every intention you have is programming the narrative of your life. You have always been in control. You've just been told you are not. Baby steps now is all it takes. Thank you so much for listening. If you found something in this video helpful, it would mean so much to me if you would subscribe, comment, and like. And I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace and love. Bye.